Got it. I think we are. Oh, and it's direct. Good. Hello, everyone. We are here. And decided on a Saturday. I guess I'll have to check it some other way. We'll see. All right. So we've got a email, and it said, here's an idea for men's soul chat. Talk about the DM waiting for or being ready for the DF. I'm like, well, I guess we'll talk about the DM accepting wounded feminine, WF. Because I guess if you're in the divine, you won't know the difference, will you?
No, probably not. No.
So what if I'm divine masculine, but I have a wounded feminine? That's what I'll keep attracting, right? So if they're in the divine, I'm just going to keep attracting the wounded feminine because I haven't healed that side of me, and they believe I just got to only have the divine masculine. That makes it really confusing, doesn't it?
Yeah, hell yeah.
Is it me, or are we made up of both?
Made up of both.
So you believe that too?
Yeah.
So when they want you to be all masculine, what do you do with the other half?
You suppress it.
Oh, and then it becomes wounded.
Yeah.
It's like you're leaving one girl for another.
Yeah, exactly.
That makes so much sense if you really look at it that way, but not a lot of people look at it that way. So, hello, Kelly. Welcome to the chat. Let's see. You finally caught alive. Well, yeah, welcome. If you have questions, post them because we will be going over that. I think Omar is going to be joining us. So I'm trying to find out where he's at, but he doesn't seem to be here just yet. Let's see. So, yeah, so I don't know, this whole divine thing has gotten out of hand. And then, we were talking about this because, Sandra and Alan, Trevor and Eileen, me and Sherry, we did a video a while back called The Switch.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much when the switch comes into play, right? Because if you're in the divine masculine, you don't know any limits as far as toleration. But in wounded masculine, you have a very short wick, right?
Oh, yeah.
Very, very short wick. So it's almost like, and the short wick could be anything. It could be, moving on to the next person, just running completely. And it's not even so much running away as much as it is that, yeah, that's too much for me. Or, your wounds will start to come up, right?
Yeah.
So I guess, how do you heal both? I got a chuckle out of you.
That's the difficult part to work out. It's well, for me, it was just starting to know that I actually needed to heal something. Didn't matter which side, but I needed to heal something. And it wasn't until we started really getting into things that I started to differentiate between the two. Because to me, it was like, and this, when we're growing up, especially as men, you're told certain things, what it is to be a man as you get older. You have to be the provider. You have to provide security. You are the breadwinner. You have to provide the house, blah, 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 blah. So because of that, you lose your understanding of what it is to express emotion, because emotion is a weakness. And you just become this, well, I know I did for me, and I'm still guilty of it, where you just numb everything out. because you become so focused on what your goals are that it doesn't matter about anything else. And if someone else is hurting in your world, it's like, oh, well, bad luck, harden up, carry on. And you never really learn how to communicate, not only between your partner and yourself, but you and your friends and the like. You just don't know how to communicate that side of it. So I know for me and here, the best way blokes communicate emotions is cars and rugby or fishing.
Escape.
And that's how we communicate. But when it comes to anything else, we have a word here called tapu, which is the same as taboo, meaning that it's something, it's sacred. You don't touch on it. You leave it alone. And that's what we do. And then it comes to the point where you meet this person who throws everything out of whack, throws your belief systems basically in the garbage. And you're left standing going, well, what the hell do I do now? And, for me, it was, I then knew that I needed to fix something. I didn't know what.
Was it that you needed fixed, or was it that you needed gone into?
My initial, because I was in my mind, it was, I need it fixed. I've got to get it fixed. I have to fix this. And you noticed that when you and I first started talking, that everything had to be fixed. I have to work on it and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. But that doesn't really achieve anything. And it's like you said, it's, we're not working on stuff, we're healing stuff.
Right.
And it wasn't until about the 15th or 20th time you said that I actually got it.
Yeah. Because it's like I'm going against the wall, right? When somebody says, I've fixed or I've healed all of that. There's this space. And then you go, yeah, but when somebody brings it up, you get defensive. Like that's supposed to be healing of some kind. And that's defensiveness doesn't show up when you're healing. Surrender, right? So I kept noticing that work word just kept getting heavier and heavier, and I kept feeling this pain. I mean, I'm already in pain, so I'm feeling this pain, and I'm going, what is it about this word, work? Well, if you look at the word, it means that something's wrong with you, right? And if something is broken or wrong with you, you won't let anybody near you. You won't. And as long as you're saying working on it, you get to make that excuse. And it's like, well, do you need to heal or do you need work? And I kept asking you that for a reason, because I wanted you to see that there was a clear difference between both.
Yeah.
And you can feel it, but you can't see it by the words. Words have a particular type of weight and a type of vibration to them. So when somebody says, I'm working on that, I've been working on that, and they're defending whatever it is they think they're defending that they're broken somewhere inside. And the only way to heal broken is to connect. And this connection came along, right? And I was broken. And I refused to admit it. But then that when you have that much brokenness, it piles up and you're in a lot of pain. And now you have no choice. But that was the thing. All the stuff that people work on doesn't guide them to their pain. If you're working on something, it's supposed to guide you deeper into your pain, isn't it?
That's the theory. That's the thought process we have.
So, but you need the pain so you can heal.
Yeah.
So if you're in the divine, like let's say today, we were talking about this yesterday because, I said, hey, I want you guys to really let yourself feel this, right? I want you to go into the divine masculine and how do you feel about attracting a wounded feminine? Well, you don't have much of a choice if you haven't healed that side of yourself.
Yeah. Yeah,
You may
exactly.
be very patient. You may be walked on a lot. You may even get beat down a lot because the wounded feminine is what's going to show up in you. And when the divine feminine comes at you, it activates their wounded feminine. And you have to be all four at all times.
Mm.
There's a reaction. There's reaction, and then there's no reaction. That's how you know when you're in the divine. The divine reaction.
Mm.
You can guess what the other is. It's wounded, right?
Yeah.
Because you're going to have a
Yeah.
reaction in every part of you that's been wounded. If I said, if you attracted someone you're connected to, or you've stumbled into a connection, a soul connection of any kind, there's going to be this remembering moment, but then you're going to also not realize why you remember it, but don't still have it.
Mm.
So everything that made you not have it, you start to replay in a very vicious way.
Yeah.
Sometimes without even seeing it.
Yeah.
Let's see what we got going on in the message. Have we heard anything? Can you see if he's been able to get in?
No, I
He wants
can't.
me to email the link to him. So hold on a minute. Let me see if that works. Yes, we're trying to get Omar in here. So give me just a minute. Paste link and photos. Oh, Omar, you should have had me do this about an hour ago. All right. There. Let's see if that gets him in here. We'll find out in a second. If not, Omar, we'll miss you. Let's see. So we got over here. Hi, Bina. I actually gave you check your email. I think I put you as moderator. So if y'all could do that. Thank you for posting out the reminder and the like. Subscribe. Travis, I remember when I was younger, I used to cry easily. My dad told me, why do I always keep crying like a little girl? I felt so embarrassed. Wow. You don't see, you can feel the abuse now, but back
Mm.
then you felt like you did something wrong.
Yeah.
You know, the
Yeah.
younger you were, the more it kind of, because you said your grandfather was, he was a man. I mean,
Yeah.
he was all over you, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
if you look at what Travis is saying there, who hadn't had that, right? Or, who hadn't heard, stop crying or I'm gonna give you something to cry about.
Mm.
Right? It's almost like, huh? It's almost we're beaten to this submission space where we no longer can feel, like you said, and then we're afraid to bring those feelings back out. And it can happen not just with a man, a father figure. It happens with a mother figure more.
Mm. Yeah.
And then if you don't straighten up there, they threaten to get the man. So it's almost like,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that was me with my grandfather growing up. Like my grandfather never. Well, he gave me a couple of belts, but not very often. But it was that threat that I got from either my grandmother or my mum that if I didn't behave, they were going to tell my grandfather. And because I was so enamored by my grandfather, it was like, oh shit, I can't do that.
right.
So it
Control.
stopped. Yeah.
So, but in that moment, even though you stopped doing what you were doing, you got wounded.
Mm.
And the wound didn't come from grandfather. The wound came from a woman who turned you against, or who you felt could threaten to turn him against you in some way.
Yeah.
And the impact of that at an early age is astounding with what I've in root camps when we go through. I mean, I've discovered things that I don't even think we realize is abuse. And it comes across normal. But if you really let yourself feel into how it actually felt, not so normal.
No.
So we're wondering, kids grow up and I just want to be normal. You can't be. Nobody is normal. Nobody's ever fallen in love with somebody who is normal. Just let go of normal. Stop trying to be normal. Be you, right? The divine would tell you it accepts both parts of what you are. And when we have all of these divine feminine out there, saying, where's the DM? You know, the DM, when is he going to make these choices? When he's going to make these decisions? Well, he's not, because your wounded masculine is activated severely when you're landing on just one side. You didn't balance it out. So you're wondering why you've pushed, why it feels like a push away. From our standpoint, it is a push away. From their standpoint, it's, how do I get you to come closer? How come you're not talking to me? How come you're going somewhere else? Well, your wounded masculine is already with you. What do you need me for? Right? It's literally how it feels. And I think it's kind of challenging from the standpoint that you can try to not segregate it. You could try not to make it a separate experience, but you want somebody who's whole, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
This is a connection not about half of you. This is a connection that's about the whole of you. And it's so elusive because it's hard to balance both. It's hard to, and everything that triggered you in your childhood, in your teen years, in your young adulthood is now going to be completely activated, ready to heal. And you're going to fight them because you believe that they're going to heal you somehow. No, I'm going to bring it up in you. It's your job to heal it in you. So Teresa Gilliam said, my twin says that he is uncomfortable with where we stand. To go deeper, what do both of you recommend? I asked him to give him space to tell me what he means. So I guess what I'm saying, I think what Teresa's saying is he asked for her to give him space. What do you, have you ever said I need space?
No, I was the opposite.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You didn't want space. You wanted them to come closer.
Yeah.
But then did you open up?
No. I knew I needed them.
Hey, Omar.
Hey, Omar.
Is it working?
Hello?
Hey!
I know this shit is so hard, man. I don't know what. A tablet, my phone wouldn't even add.
Hey, it's all good, man. You're here. All that matters is you're here, right? We were just talking about Teresa asked a question. Let's see if we can get Omar's take on this question. My twin says that he is uncomfortable with where we stand. To go deeper, what do both of you recommend, or all three of us recommend? And asked him to give, I guess he asked her to give him space. Is that correct, Teresa? So I guess have you ever been in a relationship where you needed space?
Me personally, no.
Have you ever been in a relationship where they needed space?
No.
Clinton?
Yeah.
Would that be because when they came closer to you, you were closed up?
Yeah, pretty much. That's it.
I'm not going to open up to you. Even though I have you closer, I don't want to open up.
Yeah.
It literally does that. Then they're like, I need space.
Yeah.
Space is an illusion. When we ask for space, what we're saying is you're not listening to me. It's the same thing, right? I don't know if there's really much of a difference as far as if you follow it through in connection. When space is needed, it's because your ability to communicate openly is compromised. Does that make sense?
Well, it's not only that, it's, well, for me, I didn't know how.
Compromised. So it's very similar. Let me explain how. So the way that you were loving, the way that you were open, the way that you would embrace, the way that everything you did, as it gets deeper, you were never deep before. So all of a sudden you shut down and you're thinking, okay, well, what do I do the right thing? I'll start people pleasing, or you'll start trying to find a different way to communicate what you're feeling because you don't have that depth in you. Your depth is highly important. If you don't let yourself be deep when you're in love, how long does being in love last?
Not long.
See, it's very interesting. We know the answer to that, isn't it?
Mm.
So you fall in love, you fall deep, and this is the first time it's happened to you. Your ability to communicate from that space has never happened.
No.
So it's like a new learning space. But the thing is you start feeling this intensity or pressure to learn it quick or learn it now or be able to speak for what you haven't learned. And what that does is make you go, I need space. That's exactly what that does. And it's compromised. On the inside of you, there's a you that has all these words, but then everything you're hearing from those words, you start to judge and you start to say, no, that didn't sound, that's not going to come up. You start beating yourself up. And then after a while, you feel like, well, I'm not good enough. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And it's like you fell down some steps and hurt everything all the way down. Right. And then when you're finally in it and you really want to tell them how you feel, it comes out with such love, but it sounds like this. You'd be better off without me, right? This is what it sounds like.
You're far too good for me.
I need to go fix myself because there's a space in them that they weren't receiving that you were struggling to begin with. And to struggle when you're in love, it's the beginning of the suffering, right? It's the beginning of the suffering. It's the beginning of going on the inside and not letting anybody in, right? In divine masculine, there's very few little words because it's all action. There's a feeling to it that you follow and you don't hold yourself back in. And wounded, everything you're trying to do, you're not getting back because your receiver got broke. Somewhere, not necessarily with the person you're connected to, but before then, it got broke. So now you're going to be giving. And every time they try to give you something, you didn't have to do that. Don't do anything, right? They're literally, you start pushing it away, not realizing they're trying to show you love back, which you think you're giving them love and you're not. Because if your receiver's broke, what are you giving?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Do you see that, Omar, or no?
Yeah.
It's deep, but it's the truth. If you can't receive love, what do you think you've been given? That's the worst thing. If a person is struggling with people pleasing, that is the ultimate question. If you're giving, what are you receiving? And if they say I'm not receiving, then what does it feel like to be on the receiving end what you're giving? Because your receiver's broke, you're not giving it to you. What you're giving them tells them there's nothing they can do for you. Love needs a two-way street. You know, we were, before you came on, Omar, we were talking about, I don't know if you were watching, but we were talking about when we were younger, what we were taught as men about our feelings, about our emotions, about how our actions and our behaviors, and how it was always threatened. Like for Clinton, grandfather, me, it was my dad, right? It goes down. It's kind of one of these things, but the person doing it is coming from feminine, right? The one who loves you unconditionally is doing that to you. And it turns into a condition. If you don't act right, I'm gonna get your dad or get your grandfather involved. And oh, okay. So like he said, I won't do that. But then you end up finding yourself in a little box before too long. After a few years of that, you're in this little box. And then you meet the love of your life and you can't get out of the box. Is that pretty accurate, what you're saying, Clinton?
Yeah.
You experienced anything like this, Omar?
No, because everybody that they had a father was shit, if I did something wrong, it wasn't going to nobody else. My mother did the punishment, or if I was at my grandmother, it wasn't going to get nobody, or it just, the point with my grandmother, she was a sneaky one about it. She wait till you go to bed, or you think it's over with. But my mother, she just it did something. It wasn't go get nobody. It was her. Period.
Okay, so Teresa got back with us. She said, I asked you all, how can I make space for him? So if he's uncomfortable, are you comfortable? That would be my question. So Teresa, if you're looking at this and you want to create space for him, when he's uncomfortable, are you comfortable? Or do you get uncomfortable too? He's not going to probably open up until he feels you being uncomfortable with him. You want him in the same space, or you want to go to the same space, you're going to have to compromise on what the feeling is. What is he exactly uncomfortable about? Is he uncomfortable with too much talk of the future? That in this connection is a quick way to abandon the connection, because the connection is about the present. It's not about what you're going to have and where it's going to go and how you're going to be and what the mission is. It's when you make it about all that stuff, you'll lose connection to that person. So how present can you be with how he's feeling and not try to change it, not try to make it go away, not try to disturb it? If you can be in that space where he's uncomfortable and give him peace, things change. I know Sherry does that for me. So, but Sherry's a different animal, though. She really is. I mean, I'm just gonna put it out there. She was connected to herself before me. So I would say that she didn't break her connection to herself with all the bull crap I was doing. She didn't break connection to herself when I was uncomfortable. Actually, she made me comfortable when I was uncomfortable. And she did it by not pushing it away or making me feel bad about being uncomfortable. It was like I could feel her full acceptance of what I was feeling. And I don't know if that is a gift. I don't know if it's something that when you're fully in love, you have the ability to do. I would imagine that's what it is. Because the way that it felt loving. It didn't feel bad. Another person had sent me an email and asked me and said, should I tell my twin flame they're my twin flame? And I said, yeah, if you want to lose them. Well, why are you saying if I want to lose them? Because if they go out and they start researching all this stuff that it says out there, and Lord knows where they're going to stumble up. You believe telling them that your twin flames is more important than telling them how you feel. What do you think that makes them feel like? And that's literally what keeps happening. It's an algorithm of why people aren't in this connection. If you can point to what they're supposed to be, you're not pointing about how you feel about them. Do you know what I mean? And what you really want to know. And I believe what they really want to know is how you feel about them and how they feel about you. And can you feel each other? But when you go and you read all this stuff about what it's supposed to be, it puts you more in your head, not in what you feel. So then once you put them in their head, like I said, that's an immediate disconnect if you want to do that. And then take the long way around, because it is the long way around. Now they're going to have people going, yeah, but they want me to be in my head and be all these things that I read about. They don't want me to be in the feelings that they have for me. They want me to be there. It's a messed up place to be.
Yeah.
Man.
This whole so-called twin flame dynamic, it's, dare I say it, for me, looking back at it now, and for me now it's like a crock of shit, because it's putting people into categories and saying to be this you have to do this and this, and it takes away from what it's actually about. And it's about connection, not only to someone else, but it's reconnecting to yourself so that you develop better connections with everybody else around you. it's not just the connection that you have with this one person, it's the connection you have with everybody.
It's just the frequency and the vibration are much stronger.
Yeah.
And it's not like you don't have you'll have bits of that, you'll have pieces of that, then you'll have the strength of something you've never felt.
Yeah.
And
since I learned that, and I'm still learning it. The connection that I have with myself is every day gets better and gets stronger. The connection I develop with other people, I no longer look at other people and say, I don't judge them on who they are or what they do. But, I accept them for who they are. If they choose to be a certain way, well, that's their choice. It's up to me how I choose to react to it, if I want to. I still don't get that part right. I still react to how some people are, and you go, oh, you fucking dick. But
No,
that's
I get it.
That's me in the moment, how I choose to react to it. And I catch myself and go, oh, yeah, that's probably not the right thing to do.
Right.
But in saying that, it is also about, if someone's pushing your buttons, doesn't mean you let them carry on pushing on those buttons. You do have
Well, I have a question about that.
Yeah.
Who made the buttons?
Oh, definitely me. From how I was raised and what certain...
You were given buttons. They said, put this on your shirt and wear it, or I'm going to go tell your grandfather. That's where I'm from.
I grew up with the expectation of how people are to react and how people are to be. But my expectations aren't the same as, say, the likes of yours or Omar's. I came up through another system, not only from how I was raised, but when I joined the military, it was, okay, I've got all these other buttons now. So there's certain tolerances that I still don't tolerate. But in that sense, there's a reason why I don't tolerate those, because when I put my green uniform on, it's life or death. But when I'm out of that, it's it's about people being able to express who they are, how they choose. But again, it's up to me how I choose to accept it.
Acceptance. That's the hardest part, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. But I can honestly tell you, since I started this journey, and especially with the healing that I've received from you and Sherry, that acceptance that I used to have would have been about the size of, well, about that big. Now it's a bit bigger, and I'm finding the more and more that I heal inside myself, the more that acceptance grows. But a part of that, it also allows me to say to someone that if I don't like what they're doing, it's given me the strength to actually say, hey, hang on, I don't appreciate that. Okay, instead of just dealing with it, putting up with it, where it just,
or losing your shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a challenge. Let's see. Make sure I got this right. I jumped up a little bit. Tammy Collins. Little projector, you are what you see is what you receive. Nothingness is really wrong. Just what you feeling now. My most beautiful love. Travis, why does love feel suffocating? I don't even like getting close to people. And now that I have my twin flame here, it feels good, but also uncomfortable at the same time. Does love know what suffocation is? Right. It's like those two, if you can put that in the same sentence.
That's, to me, that's the ego talking. Basically, your brain, because you love is not suffocating, because it's to me, it's something that of embracing, is a feeling of I can't pronounce the word, but it's like that word is like that start with a U. But I don't understand why would somebody feel that love is suffocating. Like I feel that's the ego talking.
Or it could be found in the second half of what Travis is saying. I don't even like getting close to people.
Yes, that too.
So there is a space on the inside of you, Travis, where your love is and where that belief system is. That belief system is trying to push love out of you. And what the suffocating feeling could probably be is you not doing anything about it. You're just letting the belief system overrule you. And now that you feel love, you want to be around people because if you felt connection and you've kept yourself away from connection your whole life, this is going to be a very uncomfortable ride for you. It's going to be. There's no getting around that. And the more love you feel, the more that belief system you've had to carry your whole life of you don't like people is going to be challenged. That's where I could see that the suffocation can happen. But I guess the question is, if you found this connection and realized you didn't connect earlier on, open up all of the floodgates and letting yourself have connection now would be the key. Because sometimes when we don't like people, we attract people who don't like us. Mm-hmm. See what I mean? Since you're using the don't like, it's almost like if we had to pay attention to everything we said as though we manifest it, you probably would start saying something different. But if you manifested your whole life, I don't like people, you've surrounded yourself with people you won't like, and they don't like you.
Right.
You know what I mean? And this is a common theme until you realize, wait, I want to attract or be around people who can show me connection, who can help me heal connection in myself. Those thoughts and that way of thinking is a far away place from somebody who's gone their whole life saying, I don't like people. So to get there, something in you has to be broken into, right? That's kind of what you went through, Clinton. You literally had to break in. And it wasn't Sherry and I that healed you. We just asked you questions so you could heal yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's the most important part, because the answers to every connection aren't in us, in anybody. They're not on the internet. They're not anywhere. They're in you.
Yeah.
And what's broken in connection is in you too. What broke connection for you is what happened to you above, you know, what you inherited, what you got from the two people that grew you. One of them grew you in their belly and the other one helped put you there. So it's almost like you got to pay attention to how connection started to understand why you think the way you do when it comes to connection. That's why relationship is so much more appealing. I'd rather go with a relationship because a connection hurt me already. If another connection shows up, I'm going to be destroyed. And that's usually what happens. You just don't see the hidden belief system.
Yeah.
So hopefully, Travis, that gave you a place to look. Teresa said that's what he says. Tammy, mirror, mirror on thy wall, who is the fairest of them all? That's cute. Hey, Danny or Brooke, I'm not sure which one is in here. Let's see. Travis, she makes me feel completely calm, and I don't sense that I need to be careful with her, but it all feels too good to be true. And I feel like something can go wrong any minute now. It just did. It just did the moment you made that statement.
Mm-hmm. Self-sabotaging.
You're going to be looking for what's wrong, not looking for what's right. And when you get into right and wrong, you're already in your disconnect. You're already in it. If you're not vocalizing this to that person, they're going to start going, something's off with your energy. And then something's really off with your energy. Are you seeing somebody else? And they are seeing somebody else. They're seeing what's in their head and thinking that's what the future is going to. It's almost like you can't see your form of abandonment. When you say you have abandonment issues, do you realize the thing that's abandoning you the most is your thinking? Your thinking is abandoning you the most. If you think that person isn't choosing you, your thoughts directed energy, and put that at play. That's just the way this connection is. The connection is going to be completely on purpose and it's going to give you the truth of what you think. Unfortunately, you want the connection to give you the truth about what you feel, but you weren't taught to feel, so you're going to keep trying to make it about thought. And more times than not, you'll fall in love with who you think that person is before you'll fall in love with who they really are. This is where it gets scary, because when we're talking divine masculine attracts wounded feminine, that's what we do, right? We wanted to be that. We wanted to be our mother's heart. I don't know a little boy or a little girl that doesn't want their mother's love. Just don't. And if they didn't get that, they have the worst time with this connection. The worst. Because it was funny. I still run into people. I did cord cutting. Did that mean that the woman whose body you came from, when they cut that cord, that's no longer your mother? And they went, no. I said, so you couldn't change that belief system. So why do you believe in cord cutting? Right? It's like
it's the same premise. It's the same premise of letting go.
What do you do? Yeah. Right? And in that space. So when you attract that feminine, you keep attracting the things that you weren't able to achieve with a woman who should have loved you unconditionally. Thing is, true love looks at that and goes, I'll wait. I'll wait till you finish, because unconditional love is all of these conditions that are hidden. And it's a puzzle board. True love goes, what was the truth about how you felt? Share it with me. Let me connect to that. Unconditional love? Well, I don't mind if you're with somebody else. I'll love you either way. That's literally, and you have a bunch of people saying it after unconditional love, and you're going, that's a really divine purpose you got going on there. But what does that mean for true love? It's the same thing. Okay. All right. Unconditional love means you can lie to the person you love and they will love you anyway.
Yep.
True love, lie just once. It's the most painful thing you've ever felt. I know. I'm in true love. There are things that still hurt us, but the pain is the most beautiful pain now versus what it was, because I judged my pain. I wanted to package it, put it away, act like it wasn't there, not talk about it, right?
Yep.
That's a really easy thing to do. But it's so easy. And then you look around and go, why do people reject and abandon me and betray me? Well, you do that to your pain. Why can't they do it to you?
But the thing is that like for me, it happened to me this morning. I had quite severe anxiety when I woke up this morning. And once upon a time, I'd look at it and go, oh, why did it? I'd just start screaming all this stuff into my head as to why I've got anxiety. And the thing is with that is, by doing that, I'd stay in that for 3 or 4 days without actually coming up with a solution as to why it's there. But now I can go, okay, so why have we got anxiety this morning? And it's not necessarily that the answer will come to me, but just by the mere fact that I'm doing that and sitting in there with it, it's like, no, it's not really that bad.
And have you noticed that people will hug you? They want to come and like hold tight. They'll shake your hand. They'll give you a hug. It's completely different. You connect and stay connected to your pain. Your life changes. And the truth is available. True love is on the center, is at the very core of your pain. And it's not, and until you choose it. And the really sad part is, at this point, nobody's going to stop you if you don't. I mean, that's a fight. I fight people every day for their pain because they want connection. They need connection. And they get in their head and get defensive. I've done all this work. I've done all these years. And I listen and I'm going, what does that have to do with the pain you're in right now? Because you've had this pain your whole life. All of that work circled it, but never went into it. Going into it is how you have connection. Circling it isn't. That's where the running and chasing is really happening, in your own pain, and how you choose to either choose your pain or don't choose your pain. Elena, oh, wait a minute. Let me make sure I got this. So Travis, she makes me feel completely calm, and I don't sense that I need to be careful with her, but it also feels too good to be true. Let go of it's too good to be true. I hope you captured, because I think all three of us said it. Focus on being with her. Don't focus on what's too good to be true. Focus on the feeling you both are in. And if you don't know what she's feeling, ask her. Or at least just say, is it okay if I lay my head on your chest and listen to your heart so I know where you're at? We take for granted that we can feel things. But feeling teaches us. It teaches us connection. It teaches us things that we're just now discovering. When we were infants, we came in full flesh, just wanting to feel everything. And everything went to the mouth. You know, you want to chew on everything. Like dogs, right? But at some point you go, okay, now I got to be up here and I got to stay up here. And you don't ever travel back down to your feelings like you first did when you got here. So you never discovered connection. You never discovered how powerful it was. But give that a chance, Travis. I believe that what you're saying here, fear, you know, we all like to have an affair with fear. Everybody's having an affair with fear, and nobody talks about it because fear is that good. Fear is probably the sexiest energy that we actually are surrounded by, that none of us claim to like, but we all get in bed with it. Right? And we all get fucked by it too. And we don't even get to come. We get nothing, right? We get fucked, all right. That's all there is to it. So, Elena B, hi Lee. Can you say in a few words what this awakening is truly about? I feel it's been translated wrong. It shows you your wounds, but why did this happen? Is it something to do with time? Yes, actually, I completely agree with you, Alina. Awakening is about you being born again. The thing is when you have an awakening, you've gone into some pain that you didn't go into before. So when you go into it, some of us get thrust in it very quickly and come out of it like, I feel great. But then some of us drag our feet, wanting to just, no, that person is responsible for it. This person in these circumstances, that person in these circumstances. And it's all based on there. And it's like they jump right into time. Like they have more time with pain than they actually need. They don't just go, you know what? I'm going to sit in everything that this feels like and really just sit in it without saying anything and really see what words come to me. You've not done that at any point in your life, but you needed to have a life, because you need to go through this life feeling things. But if you're going through this life in your head, you're not feeling anything. And if your head's translating your feelings, it's doing a horrible job. Horrible. And I'm not judging your thinking. I'm just saying, I've seen it. It's a mess. Mine was a mess. Mine was a complete mess. I did not like my thinking at all. I was too smart.
Under a minute left.
Yeah, we are under a minute.
Yeah.
So hopefully that summed that up, Alina. But that was a really good question. Men, we're going to do this again. We are going to be watching The Journey, I think, either later tonight or tomorrow. And if you'd like to join us, we're going to watch episode 2 and probably episode 3 before the new year. So it'll be really cool. We do like a watch party. So bring your popcorn. It's not televised on YouTube, but it'll be a lot of fun. Also, we're doing Lee and Sherry. You can get us both at the same time, where we can give you the yin and the yang, the masculine, feminine, masculine design and what that looks like. I believe all that's on our website. But don't forget to like and subscribe. And thank you all for watching. And Omar and Clinton, thank you for joining.